We are the Meat Dudes, meat-obsessed, Wagyu-focused, source-driven, and barbecue-influenced. I'm Evan.
I'm Tyler.
Amazing, bro. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah. We've had a couple of busy weeks here.
A
couple of busy meat weeks.
I'm ready for a regular week.
the Father's Day week for us.
Last couple were good ones.
Yeah, we go through a lot of meat on that Father's Day week.
That whole week was probably...
I mean, how many pounds?
Dude, I'm trying to do it real quick. It's like
the whole cow.
Yeah, whole cow and then more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because it was probably like 1,300.
1,300 pounds? Yeah, out of our small West Seattle restaurant here.
little teeny meat case.
Yeah, yes. And this episode, we're going to ask the question, why isn't Wagyu beef credible yet? We're going to get right into that. Really piggyback off the scam is Wagyu, a scam conversation we had last week. We're going to get into knowing your cut, the ranch steak. So
talk about the ranch.
Yeah, he's going to bring out a ranch steak, and we're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about what we ate this week, what my little meat wad ate this week as well.
Your meat wad.
We got a couple of hot takes and a great comment that we would like to share with you and talk about. And also at the very end of this podcast, we have an interview with Adam from Plum Creek, and he is actually in the pit, or in the feed lot with his Wagyu cows. So
it's amazing,
dude. It's such a cool interview.
So good,
man. So make sure you stick around for that at the very end of the podcast. And should we get into it?
Let's go.
Why isn't Wagyu beef credible yet? And so it's kind of an interesting topic, because if you think about it, people. Well, let's start with this. When I'm holding up a steak, when you see like a steak influencer holding up a steak, or somebody's at a barbecue going, "Look at this steak," why do people get excited? They get excited about it because of...
So most of the times, like, how big it is, right? You're going to show up to a barbecue as the fucking G that brings a 4-pound tomahawk, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you just paid for about 20% of that inedible bone.
Is there but what else,
straight up marbling.
The marbling,
dude.
right? Like, nobody's holding up. Like, we had a great grass-fed conversation, and Wagyu grass-fed is different than non-Wagyu grass-fed. But when someone's holding up just like a grass-fed steak that has no marbling, like, you don't see people like, "Holy shit, look at this steak,"
Look how lean this is.
Yeah, like, you don't get that excited. So it's like, it's the marbling, and so it's funny because everybody wants that. Most people, I would say, want that. And so they want better beef until you tell them, "Oh, well, you know what? This is Wagyu and it's $50 a pound." They're like, whoa. I don't really believe that. That's just kind of a fancy name for that.
What is this, American?
So, right? So, like, for me, it's people will spend, $60, $100, $500 on a bottle of wine. They'll spend $200 on a nice bottle of bourbon. They'll spend $300 on sneakers, but they don't believe that Wagyu is worth it. Right? And you can like those other things and not want to spend that much money on meat. Totally. Sure. But it's funny that, like, I don't look at a pair of sneakers and go, "Holy shit, that is fucking ridiculous. I cannot believe that people spend that money. Holy crap, you're an idiot. That's not real, dude. I bought $60 sneakers at the mall the other day. Why are you buying $300? Yeah, that's a scam. That's ridiculous, So it's funny, like, I don't see that. And a lot of the is Wagyu credible conversation started with, I texted our master sommelier friend, Chris Tangi, who was on the podcast,
Tangi?
Like a year ago, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Broke down some amazing wines for us. Master Somm, great dude. And I said, "Chris, when you're talking about a really cool bottle of wine that's coming out and it's expensive, more expensive than the average consumer usually spends, do people just shit on it and call you an arrogant elitist, or do they just kind of pass by?" And he's like, "No, like, the people who are excited for it, they'll comment, but the people who don't really care just kind of pass by." And I'm like, that's so weird, man.
It's kind of the same. But we're also talking about a very old world tradition.
That's what, right. That's a great point. That's a great point.
Right? We're talking about centuries of winemakers in France.
Yeah, and regulation.
You know, Bordeaux blends and all the beautiful valleys and everything. Like eons of time have these people been growing grapes and making wine and doing this thing, right? So
yes, correct.
They're bona fide.
Totally agree.
People agree, and they'll even see a wine label, right? That's almost like the marbling of a beef, right?
Yeah, right.
They'll see the label and be like, "Oh, that's it.
That's the one.
That's a fucking. I gotta get that, right?" Even if it's a $95 bottle of wine, you're gonna get 2 glasses and share it with somebody else.
Exactly.
So we're talking about old world shit, where I'd say that we're still kind of in a new world,
very much,
right?
Very much
for the Wagyu beef industry.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's been going on for a while, but it's still
not comparatively,
yeah, for sure.
It's not really.
So I think that the proof is in the pudding. When people actually do believe us, finally, and listening to this podcast, and go out or come here
and try it,
buy a steak and take it home and try it. Like how many freaking Zabatons do we sell?
Oh my god, dude! Like we can't even keep it in stock anymore.
I'm probably gonna put like 30 pounds of Zabaton steaks in the case this week, and they'll sell out.
They'll probably sell it by Friday.
They'll sell out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But that's just because we have pounded into these people that like don't believe us.
Yeah,
they're like, holy shit.
Yeah, and they only get their meat here now.
Only here.
Yeah. No. So you brought up a good point. So yes, those are the bourbons, the wines.
Old world.
Very much old world. Yep. Wagyu, that's a great point. Why isn't it credible yet? Well, it is still new.
It's kind of young.
Yeah, so let's hop into that, man. Like, for me, the Wagyu gets watered down a little bit, right? Like the whole name gets watered down. We talked about this on the last podcast. The burgers, people, the fake menus. Some of like the jerky at gas stations. You'll kind of start to see a little bit like that. Some of that gets watered down.
I saw Yellowstone Ranch from the show Yellowstone.
Yeah.
There's Yellowstone Wagyu jerky at Safeway.
At Safeway.
I was like. And I love that show.
Oh, it
resoneates.
Is it?
Dude, I fucking love it.
I mean, is it?
What
kind of Wagyu?
I'll buy one next time.
We should have been. Yeah,
we'll
taste
about
it. That.
We'll eat it here on the podcast.
So a lot of people have had a bad first experience. So this is kind of what makes it hard to believe, right? Some people have had a bad first experience where it's overcooked, it's undercooked, or overpriced, or mislabeled. Some people are just really skeptical of the fat content. They don't understand it. They're like, this looks different from other cows. Must be wrong, or must be fake or genetically modified, right?
Yeah, right.
I've heard that a lot, or people are like, it's too tender. I don't like that. I like a little bit more chew.
Completely.
I get that. And do you think America is used to cheaper beef?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean,
in general.
Funny enough, like, I kind of want to do like a little taste test challenge.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll bring in just like 3 people.
Yep.
Random, right?
Okay.
Like, maybe even blindfolded. Who knows? But I won't tell them what it is. And we'll bring in, say, a CN, a specialist in everything that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And then maybe just kind of a regular dude that buys meat here, and I'll put a corn crammed, finished steak on a plate. Just because that's what everybody eats, and that's what everybody's eating. That's what they're used to, and that flavor is recognizable. And I've said it before in the past, like I can smell the difference.
Yeah,
I can.
Yeah,
I straight up can. Like I'm not lying. Like, thanks, Mom. Got a super sniffer.
Hey, well, I told you when I put that grass fed on the grill, I was like, whoa, dude, I could tell this. Yep. You're right. You're right. No, we should do that taste test. I think that's a good idea. We'll film it, do a taste test, have Wagyu, have corn fed, choice, and maybe something else too. Maybe like even grass fed in there.
All the same cut.
Yeah. See what
people like.
What they like, what they don't like. If they can tell, if they can pick the Wagyu. Let's do that. That would be great because I think that will show people like you should be able to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's the fat, dude. I can smell the fat.
Yeah.
I know the difference between a corn-fed, a dairy cow.
Oh yeah,
and then a Wagyu. Because when I do, even like roasting a brisket or something, if I'm going to do like a braised brisket,
if
I do a Wagyu, I can smell it instantly. Like, oh, time to pull the brisket. Like, it's just like,
Yeah.
money.
I love it, dude. I love it. All right. Another thing, like, we kind of talked about this, the comparison culture, right? Like, people understand wine and whiskey and sneakers. They understand that culture. There's not really a huge Wagyu culture yet. It's still, like, 1% of all American beef. So it's still very small, very new. But, I think people, for some reason, you understand that whiskey, like, let's say that Sarah brings in a really nice aged whiskey. Okay, well, why does it cost more money? Because it is a better product, right? It takes a long time to age that and to hold those barrels for 10 years.
It evaporates.
It takes time and space. It evaporates. You lose a little bit of that. So all of that, it takes on more characteristics from the barrel. It's like I said, it's a better product. So all of that goes into being a more expensive bourbon. Now, when you talk about Wagyu, it takes longer to raise, right? The genetics are superior to start
Superior.
from. You can. I don't think you can argue that. Some people will, but it takes a lot longer. Like, we're talking like we're harvesting at 30 months rather than 14 or 16 months. There's a lot. Usually they're dry aged. You're going to lose a little bit of that product. So, like, to me, like, that is a good argument on like why you should kind of understand why it costs a little bit more and why there should be maybe a little more credibility, right? Because it takes longer. It's more superior product. You're going to lose a little bit more. It's very scarce. It's only 1% of the. So it's like, that's why you buy Jordans, right? I mean, like I said, I could go buy Nikes at Big Five Sporting Goods for $40, or I could buy a nice pair of Jordans for like $600 because it's scarce, right? There's not that many. Right?
Yeah, ask our homies at Rush Hour over here.
I know. I've been in, but it's funny. But people don't walk into there and be like, all these shoes on your shelf are fucking fake and bullshit.
It's bullshit.
They don't do that same thing as they do with Wagyu. Like, people argue just constantly online when I post anything about Wagyu. It's hysterical to me, but they have no idea what they're talking about. And I'm like, dude, can you just Google it for a second, bro?
Right.
Like, just look for like 1 second. It's actually, you'll be able to figure this out here. It's not hard, but
the whole Wagyu watered down thing with the burgers, the fake menus, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I get it, but also, why are people trying to water it down? Because it's intriguing.
Because it's a better product.
It's intriguing too. People are like, oh shit, a Wagyu burger?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, tastes better. Why do people
know where your meat comes from, man? Ask the questions.
That's what we got to, man. But how do you gain credibility, right? Because, I mean, Starbucks went through like the same thing, obviously, right? That's a huge example of like people used to buy a can of Folgers for $15, $20. I don't even know how much a can of Folgers was back in the 90s, but
like $12.
$12, right?
Yeah.
It probably lasts you 2 months of coffee for like $12.
My grandmother used to buy it.
Right? I mean,
Folgers.
so did mine, of course. But now you're going in and you're spending $6, $7 every single day on coffee, right? In most places, $4 to $7.
Bro, that's killing me.
Yeah,
it is.
And it's like, it does take time. Like, when Starbucks first started, I'm sure that people said the same thing. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous, But you're going for convenience. You're going for a better product, better than Folgers. At least we'll say that. You're going to, you're meeting people. It's a place away from home. It's not a bar. That was like their whole thing, right? And so, I don't know. With Wagyu, to me, it's the same thing. You're getting that better product, that better eating experience.
Maybe we should open a meat bar.
More health benefits a meat bar, bro. We do have a fucking meat bar here. Jesus Christ. We do run a goddamn meat bar. But what else does it take to gain more credibility, right? More education, more real education, better first impressions, clear labels, which is coming out soon. That'll help. At the time, right? Like, yeah. I mean, I always use, coming from the cannabis industry, 10, 11, 12 years ago, it was barely legal. It was just medically legal. And back then, people would be like, oh, if you use cannabis, you're a dipshit, you're a dumbass, you're a stoner. This is like 10, 12 years ago, right? Maybe 15 at the max. But it's and then within about 10 years after that, people are taking a CBD pill. People are taking gummies to go to sleep. It's like it's almost like a normal thing in a lot of states. Until it gets federally legal. But I mean, it took 10 years from people saying that stuff makes you stupid to, hey, maybe there is some health benefits to this. Just a lot of education, a lot of people, a lot of word of mouth, right? So like the more people we can get to try Wagyu beef the right way, maybe they can tell their friends and they can tell their friends. More people that like and share this podcast with somebody that you maybe argue with, like and share this podcast, share it with your friends, start that conversation. I just heard from somebody yesterday that she was teaching her mom about Wagyu beef from all of our reels and podcasts. It's like, I love you guys, man. Like,
dope.
I was like, thank you.
That's great.
Yeah. So
I think slow and steady wins the race here.
Yeah, it does.
And continue to do what we do and over-educate. I mean, we're just trying to educate, but for a lot of common people, this is probably a lot of information to be skeptical about and digest and but do your own math, do your own homework. I mean, listen to what we're saying, disagree with us all you want, but
look into it.
And
maybe go to a farm.
Real.
Go to a farm, go to a Wagyu farm that you can actually visit. Even go to their website, just learn a little bit about them. Order some meat from like a local Wagyu producer or from a local rancher if you're skeptical. Because I think we're all skeptical of food. I mean, that's another thing,
or
right?
even some of the meat boxes that, some of our past homies we've had on the podcast, we'll send it to your front door.
Yeah.
We got
Plum Creek.
We got some Wagyu hot dogs the other day, some Wagyu bacon from our homie over there.
I know. And we're going to talk about those hot dogs later.
Our guy down in Chehalis sent us some steaks.
Yeah, River Valley.
They'll ship it to you.
Yeah.
I dare you. Try it.
No, I mean, that's a good way to support local farms, support local Wagyu ranchers. And also, I think there's a lot of stigma around our food and not believing where things come from, right? Because, I mean, like product of the USA beef means it's just packaged here. So it's like there isn't a lot of trust. So like that's another thing that like in food, the credibility, it's hard to
even those labels of Oregon beef, Washington beef, all that stuff. Like people don't know, and we didn't know for the longest time until we were properly educated on it. These animals could be grown in freaking Hawaii.
Yep, or Brazil,
and sent over here. Finished for the last 2 weeks of their life, and it's now labeled Washington beef.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
There's a lot of bullshit out there.
Yeah, and that makes it hard for ranchers in general, like local ranchers, to be like, well, no, mine's actually Washington beef,
and thus it makes it hard for us to tell people that Wagyu's not a fucking scam.
Exactly, and that's it, man. It's hard. It's the food industry, the big ag, the big beef industry. It does make it hard.
Bro, I was in such a hurry the other day. I was at a big food chain. We'll just call it that because I don't like to name names. But
yeah.
And I was like looking at my watch. I'm like, do I have time to finish shopping? Because I had to get my kids from school. And there was a package of ground turkey. Mm-hmm. And it was on special for $10. And it's like 2 pounds, dude. And
okay.
My kids eat a lot of ground turkey. We do tacos and like whatnot, but
yeah, I
usually buy the organic and the never evers and that whole label. I look at my poultry labels. Yeah. Look at your poultry labels.
That's the hardest one.
But I was in such a hurry. I was just like,
no.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I bought it.
Yeah. Oh.
I had to, dude.
Could you tell?
I haven't cooked yet. I'm afraid, dude.
Go back and buy another one. Just toss it, dude.
Feed it to my dog.
Yeah, that's a good idea, man. So, at the end of the day, man, like, it takes time. It takes more education. Like I said, let's share this podcast, our reels, so you can get out there and start good conversations. And hopefully the credibility starts to come in the next, 3 to 5 years. Hopefully in 3 to 5 years, people are like, oh, you know what? Yeah, it is just better beef.
Those guys were right.
Maybe I still can't afford it. Like, you can't afford it every night. That's totally fine. But I just don't think you should be so confidently wrong about it.
You can't afford it, though. Man. You don't have to buy a fucking ribeye every time. You don't.
Yeah, I know, dude. You just showed me a nice $19 ab. Fuck.
Insane.
Dude, so nice. All right. It's credible, bro. Fucking believe us. Let's fucking go. If you've been listening to us for a minute, you know how serious we are about sourcing. We don't mess around when it comes to meat. who raised it, how it lived, and how it got to your plate. And that's why we work with Preservation Meat Collective. Preservation isn't your typical meat distributor. They're a tight-knit, values-driven crew based right here in the Northwest, and their entire mission is about building real relationships between ethical farmers and the folks who cook their meat. They work directly with the network of small-scale producers who prioritize animal welfare, regenerative practices, and a transparency at every step. And honestly, we would not be the meat dudes without these guys.
Absolutely.
So Preservation makes it easy for chefs, butchers, and meat lovers like us to access incredible product from people we'd never find on our own. It's not just distribution, it's curation, like legit. They know so much about every single farm, and this makes me so happy that they bring that to us.
100%.
When we get our meat from Preservation, we know the story behind it, and we're proud to serve it. So whether you're a rancher or you're sourcing for your restaurant, your butcher shop, or just a home cook who wants to know what's up, check out Preservation Meat Collective. They care about the stuff we care about, and that's why they're in our kitchen, and that's why they're on this podcast.
Absolutely, dude. And honestly, we've been to the ranches that they use.
Like, they set it up for us.
It's legitimate, like, come with us. It's a big family organization, and I mean that's what this industry is all about when it comes down to it,
Absolutely, man. They are a legacy of quality. So go to preservemeat.com or preservation_meat_collective to learn more. All right, Chef Tyler, know your cut. What are we talking about this week?
We are talking about a ranch steak.
Ranch steak.
It's one of our employees here, Jared. It's his favorite.
Yep.
Likes to go camping, cook it over a fire and live fire at the campground. We talk about the gems of the shoulder all the time, right? You got your Terrace Majors, you got your Sabs, you got your Delmonicos, you got Flat Trion.
Oh, yeah, the flat iron.
And this is a steak that comes from what we call the clod heart or shoulder clod.
Shoulder clod.
Pretty close to the Terrace Major.
Yeah.
It is a
Let me see it.
big old lump.
Let me hold it up.
Big old lump of meat like that. And generally, we talk about steakable items when we're talking about Wagyu, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot more steakable items in the Wagyu animal.
Yeah.
Because of the intermuscular marbling and all that lusciousness, right?
So you wouldn't use this, like if this is if this was like a choice ranch steak, you're probably not going to be grilling it up. It's probably going to go into grind, right?
Grind. You could do cube steak with it, like country fried steak kind of stuff.
Okay.
There's a lot of things you can do, but I actually sent one of these home with our morning guy, Cody.
Yeah.
And he said it didn't taste very much like ranch.
Yeah,
I was like,
he would.
You didn't marinate it long enough.
Bro, he would,
fucking
dude.
Hidden Valley, bro. But yeah, so this one would be generally kind of chewy and tough, but
unlike a choice, right?
And because it's a Wagyu animal, I mean, look at that marbling. It's crazy.
That's nice for right. So that's the whole thing.
About a 3/4 inch cut, and you can marinate this.
Could
grill
you
it.
grill it up? Yeah,
grill it up. You could do kebabs with it. You could cube it. You could stir fry, fajita meat, tacos, all kinds of goodies and stuff. But you can just eat this straight up as a steak.
That's cool. That's awesome because, like, when we were interviewing, was it Dr. Blake from the Wagyu auction? Yeah, it was Blake. Yeah, talking about just how many more steakable items in the Wagyu cow. Bro. This is like such a good example because this is going to be really affordable too.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be super affordable.
Sure.
So
this is 1.5 pounds, and you can come get it for
what, like $30?
$30.
Yeah. God dang, dude, that's crazy.
Right?
I love it, man.
It's dope.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it's going to be a great steak. You're going to be able to cook that up. So many more usable product. And we kind of get into that a lot, but like that grind is so much in the cow, right?
When you start talking about other steaks, even like a top sirloin or something that's just a little bit less desirable for a steak eater, but it's a little bit more affordable.
Yeah.
It's a completely different animal.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
When we were talking about Wagyu. It's completely different.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to slice an eye round from the last full blood cow that we got.
Yeah, from Bar R.
I'm going to slice like a 4-ounce steak, almost like a fillet, and I'm gonna sear it and baste it and do the whole thing and slice it. I'm honestly think it's gonna be probably pretty rad,
dude.
Eye round,
I know.
Wagyu eye round,
right? Because
anywhere else, any other animal is gonna be just chewy.
It's gonna be chewy. Roast beef.
Usually
right?
roast beef, shaved super thin.
Yeah.
Pound it out. Carpaccio.
Yeah.
Use it for tartare. Stuff like, ooh, this would be really good for tartare.
Think so?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. Steak tartare.
Ranch steak tartare. It'd be so funny.
Money, bro.
Because I remember when we were getting, I remember getting Claude hearts in here. We were just grinding.
Yep.
We just grind for burger.
Burger grind.
Yeah. But you can actually get more steakable items. That's what people want. I mean, we eat a lot of grind here, in the United States, but people love steaks, and the fact that we can get so many more steakable items out of a Wagyu cow, sell those steaks for affordable prices.
Yep.
This is another just huge benefit. Like, because I was saying,
such a benefit,
like
dude.
30% of the cow generally goes to grind.
Yeah.
And so, like, you have to figure out what to do with all that grind, because everybody wants ribeyes, right? So, hey, well, we can sell 14 ribeyes, but what are we going to do with that 300 pounds of fucking ground every single cow?
That's
right?
the conundrum.
So, steakable items in the Wagyu animal. Yep. Ranch steak is such a great example of that, man.
Love it.
So, yeah, I might take that home and just grill it up, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Put a little bovine rub. See how much of that my daughter can eat. I bet she could eat half this.
You're gonna put teriyaki on that.
Oh man, that's one of my
Yoshida's,
bro. That's no shame in my game, dude. I love like the belly, the abdominal meats. I love just marinating those, man. The skirts I'll do with like a nice, Southwest rub or something like that. Or
I got to meet
rub,
Yoshida. He came into a restaurant I worked at.
Really?
Yeah.
That guy's the man.
He's
dude.
cool as fuck.
Dude, I love marinating in Yoshida's, man. I don't know, dude. I can't get away from it. Sorry, hate me. Okay, Chef Tyler, what did you eat this week?
Brody, bro.
Yes.
One of my favorites.
Uh-oh.
So we got the whole cow last week, right?
Yep.
And I pride myself on seaming out the blade stick, otherwise known as a flat iron.
You will always be corrected.
God damn that dad.
The guy on YouTube.
Kid.
Yeah, the guy on YouTube calling us out. That's how we learn.
So, at the very point where the sinew in between the muscle ends, you can take the end cap off and just slice it straight down. You don't have to seam it out.
Yeah.
And it's otherwise known as a bonanza steak.
Bonanza, yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
I took that bonanza steak home, and it's literally like just this round kind of dome, frisbee-looking piece. Oh, dude. And it was like,
it looked like A5, man.
it was so marbled, dude. It was like this is gonna melt in the pan.
Yeah.
This is gonna be so good.
That flat iron, man, it's got some of the best muscle structure.
I didn't share it with anybody.
No. It's good.
No.
Was that Father's Day?
Yeah.
Nice. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I took that home for me being such a fucking rad dad.
Did you wear your Rad Dad shirt?
I don't think I have that thing anymore, dude.
Man.
I gotta get a new one.
I ordered those for me and Charlie. Did you know that? We're going to wear them one year.
You bastards.
Tyler always wears his Rad Dad shirt on Father's Day.
That's right. I do. You see me at the car show in Burien wearing my rad dad shirt.
Love that, dude.
We'll probably have coffee to go cup full of a margarita.
Oh, it's perfect, man. Knowing that you're just going to grill that bonanza that night. Oh,
Dude,
it's perfect.
10 a.m. it's got to be noon somewhere else in
yeah,
the world.
man.
So
Especially
you're
on that
allowed,
Sunday.
right?
Definitely.
So I loved it. Flat iron was amazing. It was delightful.
The Flatrion.
Flatrion.
My fave.
The bonanza steak.
Not bad.
Thank you, CN, for teaching me about the bonanza steak.
Yeah, dude. I know. You're not
what-
going to find that very much, though. You're not going to find that.
No,
very
you're
much.
not going to find that,
no.
dude. And then people are going, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Oh, why do you call it that? Like, never mind.
I don't know. Who
Just-
cares?
Guess
It's fucking
what?
awesome. That's why.
I'm taking it home.
Yeah.
It's not for you.
It's bonanza, bro.
What did you eat for Father's Day there, champ?
Ooh, so I ordered some steaks from Vermont Wagyu.
Yeah, you did,
Yeah,
sucker.
I know, because that was so delicious. I was like, I'm going to get a couple more steaks there. And so I ordered the New York and the ribeye just to see, and man, just crushed them both. Seared them up, super perfect. Of course, my daughter, the little meat wad. That's her new name.
The meat wad.
The meat wad. I was like, that's perfect. Man, we have to cut her off now, So like she'll be eating strips.
She gets a tummy ache.
Yeah, we're like, no, you've had enough meat. You gotta eat some vegetables now. And like I never thought I'd have to cut her off. It's almost like disheartening, but she'll go a little crazy. But yeah, we ate the whole New York and the ribeye. Oh, man, it was awesome, dude. That's some really, really good beef, that Vermont Wagyu. I was gonna grab some of the bar R here, but we sold out of almost the entire cow. So and then we had those. I was gonna do some stuff with it, but I was like, I'm gonna eat that for Father's Day. That's a good Father's Day gift to myself.
Got some special zabs in the case today.
Yeah, I might have to grab one of those for Friday. Ew, authentic Wagyu, man.
Money. It's money.
But also, so I went out, another story, I went out to dinner with my brother for his birthday. So it was me and my wife, my brother, and his wife.
This is good.
Yeah, we got to talk about this. So it was at a cool restaurant in like a little town. I don't want to name the names and stuff.
Established, bona fide restaurant.
It was, super established. It's been there for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Really good, like really great food. I'm super happy with everything. Great cocktails, like everything. And I was like, this is great. I'm coming here a lot. But so, on the menu, there's like it's like a steak and seafood house, but like, $70 filet mignon with baked potato, right?
Oh, $70.
Right? 18-ounce ribeye, $80, so like that's pretty expensive, I would say, and it's like it's not Wagyu.
It's definitely a special occasion place.
It is. It gets a little pricey, but I looked up at the table and I'm like, I'm gonna ask her where the meat comes from. And my brother, my sister, or my sister-in-law were like, yeah, like this server's been here forever. Like totally, you should. Like we're all like, this is a nice place. Like they're gonna know. So I was like, hey, where's your meat come from? I'm just gonna ask every time I go out now. And the server was like, ooh, you know what? Let me go check. I'll be right back. And I was like, dang, dude. Like, I don't expect every server to be like, it comes from this farm and this is the name, blah, blah, blah.
Let me tell you a story.
You should have a general idea, though, if you're selling $70, $80 steaks.
Bro, absolutely.
You totally. So
go to Daniel's Broiler. You think that they're not going to know right off the bat?
They know.
They know.
I know. And it.
Go to El Gaucho. Go to a steakhouse.
I know.
They're all going to know.
You should. If you totally should. We were all a little bummed. I was like, oh, dang it. And they came back, and, like, I get it. Like, it was fine. It wasn't, like, as good as what we do, but, like, it was fine beef. And it tasted good. And it's a good restaurant. I would never say anything bad about it.
What was the beef?
It was all, like, pretty local, local here, Washington, some Idaho, but not like from the single source farm. It was like, oh, we get it from this purveyor who works with XYZ and all these places. So like it's like it's the purveyor that does like all the medium range beef, which is fine. It's not bad, but if you're selling $70, $80, $90 steaks. Dude, you gotta know where the meat. At least have a general idea, like, oh, well, it's all local. If you want the exact farm, let me go ask. I'd be like, cool. But if you're just kind of like, oh, I don't know, let me go look. Like, dude, has nobody asked that before?
It's like the opposite of that Portlandia sketch,
where
they want to go meet the chicken's parents and see where it lived.
What was
and
the chicken's name?
Yeah,
dude.
Charlie lived a good life.
It was totally opposite, and I thought that they were gonna know it. But like I said, you should know where your beef comes from if you're selling that.
Absolutely, dude.
Am I wrong? Like, I wasn't trying to be a dick. I'm not going into like Applebee's like, where does your meat come from? Like they're gonna be like, oh, shut up, motherfucker.
It comes from the meat factory. Comes from the meat farm.
Comes in frozen and we put it over here. Like, I get it, but like you're selling real nice steaks. You're kind of a steakhouse. Server's been there for a while.
I completely agree.
You should know, and so
completely agree.
But it was still a really great experience. Me just being a meat snob, I was just like a little bit let down by that.
What kind of wine did you drink?
I had some great cocktails. So I had a great cocktail menu, and I backed off a little bit in the last 5 years from all my younger days of boozing. So I had a couple cocktails, and it was some tequila cocktails, really good cocktails.
Got a little frivolous, did you?
Oh, a little wild, man. A little wild. Had to walk back up to my mother's house to pick up my child. No, it wasn't that bad. It was great though. It was a good experience, but like I said, man, you should know where your meat comes from.
Completely agree.
Yeah. So let's jump right into some hot takes. Man.
Oh, what do we got this?
So I'm surprising you with some hot takes because I want to see your reaction.
Oh,
I want to see your reaction, man. I want to talk about this.
This is great.
Yeah.
All right, hit me.
Whew, man. So this one I thought of and I was like, ooh, and I started Googling around and I was like, this one could be true. So I'm just gonna hit you with it and I'm gonna have you react. Okay, here we go. American steakhouse culture is holding Wagyu back. Don't you think? Like everything's kind of built around the huge portions, charred crusts, more is more. You know, I don't know. I feel like Wagyu is more maybe about finesse, not really the brute force.
Could
you get on board with that?
I can probably get on board with that.
You know, I kind of I don't know. I kind of think it's pretty accurate.
It is.
Yeah.
And we're also talking big business again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're talking about commodity. We're talking about big business. We're talking about, even if you're talking about a chain steakhouse.
Oh, yeah.
They have to sign on for the X, Y, and Z beef.
Yeah.
Just because that's the umbrella that they're held under corporately, right?
But also, what does everybody want at those? Like, they have three options. You have the New York, the ribeye, and the tenderloin, right?
Right.
So with Wagyu, we just talked about all the steakable items.
For sure.
So, like, that does not really fit into the American steakhouse culture. You want a ribeye.
Right.
That's it.
I mean, and if I go to, we can throw these names out there. Like, if I go to Daniel's Broiler, I'm getting a ribeye.
Yeah.
Straight up. I want a big, fat, fucking juicy ribeye.
That's a nice steakhouse out here in Seattle.
It is. You go to John Howie Steak.
Yeah.
You know, I want that baseball cut tenderloin, whatever.
Yeah.
But, we do have the steakhouse here, the Butcher's Table.
The Butcher's Table is a great place.
Great, super fun. Ooh. And they have different cuts, and it's a Wagyu steakhouse, right?
Yeah.
Only because the owner
owns a Wagyu
farm. So that's kind of convenient.
Yeah,
but I mean, you can go down there and you can get culotte, you can get flat iron, you can get zabaton. These are all things that people are like, what is that? You can get rib cap, spinalis muscle only.
Dude,
this shit's pretty money.
That's my favorite steakhouse right now too.
It's pretty fun
because when I go there, I usually get the flat iron. That was one of the best steaks, and it's like the cheapest cut on there. And I'm like,
I love it.
I'm like, babe, I want the flat iron. I'm not trying to be cheap here,
but
like,
so good.
It's awesome, and so like that culture, man. I don't know. It'd be cool to see that culture kind of starting up now. It's gonna be hard though, right? That's a different demographic.
Well, we're spoiled rotten living in the city that we do. Mm-hmm. It's a foodie-driven city. You talk about the foodie-driven cities, you're talking about San Francisco, Chicago, L.A., Manhattan, all the Miami even, Los Angeles has a huge fucking culinary scene. It's insane, dude. The farmers markets down there are just crazy awesome. Mm-hmm. And you get outside of those bubbles and you go to Black Angus Steakhouse or like
Chili's.
Like I'm supposed to go to Montana for my 30-year high school reunion next weekend, which I am not going to make.
Darn it.
Well, I'm taking Harrison to run the jewels at Wu-Tang, so that's
cool.
That's
cool
too.
That's cool too.
But if I go back there and my homies are all, let's go out to dinner, let's go to a steakhouse or like.
Yeah, where are you going?
Black Angus.
The Keg,
or
Outback, man.
And again, those steakhouses are corporately minded, driven places that have to serve the same beef everywhere, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah,
that's part of the problem.
Yeah, you're right. You got to sign on. You got to use these guys.
Yep.
And
it's all cost controls. Everything's. You're probably not even cutting your own steaks at those places, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
They probably come in vac already. You just open up 20, 30 per your station or whatever.
And just toss them on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The Capitol Grill here in Seattle is also pretty cool. They have a whole aging room and butcher cooler downstairs in the basement.
Okay.
They actually have a butcher on site.
And they use like all the cuts?
They don't generally use all the cuts. You get your Delmonicos, you get your ribeyes, you get pretty much the usual suspects.
What do they call a Delmonico?
They call it Delmonico.
But what is it?
It's a bone-in Delmonico. So it would be the 3 last ribs on the chuck before it goes into the ribeye.
Okay. So you're keeping that bone on.
Yeah. We have a new cut coming up, by the way. from our friends in Montana.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We want to give a little teaser.
Yeah, it's gonna be just that. It's gonna be. God damn it! What do we decide we're gonna call it? There's a certain name that CN came up with for this special cut, but it's gonna be.
Can you say it on the podcast?
It's gonna be 3 bone-in Delmonico cuts, and the bone is almost gonna be like a tomahawk.
Oh, cool.
So they're gonna clean up that short rib bone.
Okay.
And
like
so
friendship?
it's not gonna be like, the crazy tomahawk long bone.
Yeah.
But it'll probably be 3 to 5 inch.
Look like a little lamb chop or something.
And it's gonna be a smaller. It's gonna be beautiful, dude.
Little, like lollipops.
It's not quite lollipop.
That'd be cool too, man.
Maybe
That'd be
lollipop
cool
for
too.
somebody like you or me. Not the average Joe.
Hey, man, I would go on to do that. Absolutely.
But yeah, that's coming soon.
Oh, that's cool, man. So, well, we got sidetracked, but yeah, American steakhouse culture is holding Wagyu back. That's what we've come.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
To that.
I would too, man. It's we just want the same thing. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like we used to go out. Me and my wife used to go out to nice place like El Gaucho. We love that steakhouse. It's great. Then we went to the butcher's table and we were like, ooh, this is like kind of like new age. It's not your classic, right? Like all the different cuts, different styles.
It's got that same feel. Got that same vibe. Got that steakhousey kind of.
It doesn't
comfortableness,
I like how I felt like it used all the products, right? Like it was even like beef tallow French fries, and I was like,
delightful.
I don't know, instead of just like mashed potatoes and the corn and like, I mean, I love that stuff, but like it was just different and like it felt like upgraded, just new age. I thought it was dope. So
you guys go down to the butcher's table and sit at Tate's bar.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah,
make sure
that's your guy.
Tate's my dude.
Yeah. When you're visiting Seattle,
go see Tate.
It's great.
Tell him I sent you.
Tell him I sent you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Chef, one thing I love about this podcast is when people call us out a little bit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, and then they send us stuff to prove it. So we were talking about the Wagyu hot dog, and I was talking about how I didn't like the Wagyu hot dog because we all kind of know how hot dogs are made.
You were thinking it was diluting the brand.
It was diluting the brand, and I still do think that, but I will walk my opinion back a little bit because Adam from Plum Creek sent us some amazing Wagyu hot dogs.
They're fucking good.
And we had some, and I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll change my tune a little bit on this. And also Brant Lake up in Canada, amazing farm up there. I always say they're almost like the Bar R of Canada. Like they're super dope up there. And she hit me with, hey, we're trying to use the whole animal. Like we got to be able to use different, create different products. And I'm like, okay, you're right. I mean, totally. I totally understand that. And I even said that. I was like, yo, I get it, and I get why they're making the hot dogs, and of course they're good. So I will say, I don't hate the Wagyu hot dog. I'm going to change my opinion and say I like them. I just don't think they should be on the front lines battling the Wagyu credibility argument.
Of course not.
So
it's funny you should say that because we were having some as kitchen snacks today.
Oh my god!
And my sous chef was like, "It seems kind of silly, doesn't it, that we're eating Wagyu hot dogs?" And I was like, yeah, but like, why not?
Yeah.
And we have to use the entire animal, and like, everybody loves a fucking hot dog.
Exactly.
How can a hot dog be better? Fucking Wagyu hot dog.
Make it more of a premium hot dog.
Come on now.
So I totally understand it, and like I said, I'll walk it back. I like them. They taste amazing.
So good.
I was eating that one. It was like half cold. I was like, Jesus, this is still fucking great.
So good, dude.
Thank you, Adam from Plum Creek. And I do agree with you, Brant Lake.
I stashed the cheddar.
The cheddar ones?
The cheddar ones.
Okay, we're going to bring those out, dude. We'll do a video with those. I can't wait for that, man.
My awful things as a child. The first time I had a cheesy wiener.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, dude.
Oscar Mayer fucking hot dogs with the cheese in the middle.
Uh-huh. Dude, but this is like real stuff.
Of course
this is real.
This is really good.
This is real. Okay, so talking about using the whole animal, let's talk about the comment of the week, because that kind of leads into it.
I like how your blind hit me with the comments. I don't know what the comment is this week.
I did mention this one to you, but so this person, don't be stupid, with a 1 as the I before the D, and don't be stupid. They commented a few days ago, American Wagyu are raised on normal ranches, fed and exercised the same way as every other cow on the exact same ranches. Japanese Kobe beef gets fed beer and cakes and gets routine massages, living the life of luxury. It ain't the same. Stop pretending it is. It's like, first of all, like,
damn, have you been there? Have you been to Japan and seen this happen?
Well, so I said that. So they've said a lot of stuff, which I think is funny. And I was like, where are you getting this information from? And they're like, from Google, and half of my family lives in Japan. And I was like, how are you getting this information? It's just wrong, you know? Like I agree. Yeah, they're raised over here. Yeah, they can be raised on normal ranches and fed and exercised the same way. Like, I totally get that. But it's the genetics, right?
Yeah.
It's the genetics that are really leading that, you know, the difference in what makes all of the intermuscular fat. And the fact that you say, you know, Kobe beef gets fed beer and cakes and routine massages, like,
stop.
It's just, I mean, like, it's kind of a myth. I mean, sure, maybe some of them do,
well,
but that's a myth, dude.
Fund our trip. We'll go fact check this to the source.
Yes.
Go fund us.
Yes.
Fund me.
Nice coffee.
You know, there are so many misconceptions.
Yes.
And that is definitely one of them, right?
Yeah.
And from some of the stories that I have heard, there are tiny little ranches, if you want to call it a ranch, but it's like one person will raise this one cow, and the genetics is so superior on this one cow that the cow will sell for like $100,000 to $200,000.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
we're talking about like the PBR bucking bowls of Wagyu, right? They're not all the same.
Yeah,
no, and right. when they do find that genetic trait, they are so coveted, and they are so just secluded from everything else because their worth is so high.
Yeah.
But then you think there's a guy going out there and give him a massage while he eats his grain for the last 150 days of its life?
I mean, I think that, like, they get treated better.
Of course.
I think that, like, yeah, they're like, you might pet them and stuff. I don't think they have like a team of like massage people out there. Oh yeah, let's just get into this here.
I mean,
no, dude.
Look at like the crazy dog people out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
That have a poodle that's
the haircut.
Sitting at the table like this, you know. Like, of course, that's a pedigree animal, and it's going to be treated differently because it wins all the awards and shit. Of course it's treated differently.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, man.
But the feeding makes me laugh, though, because it's like feeding them cakes. And even, you know, Arlie from Bar Art did a great job when that one viral reel came out. That was so like, there was like, these Wagyu cows are terrible and they're sick, and they, you know, that they get fed Skittles and candy.
Jesus Christ.
And so she did the math. She's like, actually, if you know how much a cow eats, if you fed it Skittles, it was like some astronomical number, like $47,000 a year or something.
It's the Marshawn Lynch of
yeah,
it's the beast mode.
And I'm just like, come on, man. Like, first of all, like, feeding them cakes, like, you want to feed them healthy stuff, man. Like, you can't just feed them like candy and cookies and cakes and all that bullshit, dude. Like, you have to. They'd be goddamn sick if you did that.
Of course they would. And what's the point of that?
Yeah.
Seriously, what's the point of that?
Yeah.
It does nothing to the animal that's good for it, right?
Doesn't help it. Yeah.
Really?
You feed it beer, like, it's just so stupid. So.
Just like your uncle that drinks beer and eats cakes and Skittles, he's just
super healthy
guy.
beautiful insights.
His intermuscular marbling is gorgeous.
So this one, so this person still goes on and keeps commenting, and it's funny because they say that they raise beef. One of my friend raises Wagyu. I'm surrounded from everything from Angus to bison. It's all about their confinement, lifestyle, diet, stress levels, pasture time, cold adaptation, and finally genetics. Yeah, genetics is last. Now, I think that a lot of Wagyu ranchers would would find that
Probably
to
argue
be-
that point.
Yeah, so you tell me just if I feed an Angus cattle the same way that I'm feeding
They're
Wagyu
not
cattle,
They're not wrong. With all the rest of their
of
points,
course
they're not
absolutely.
wrong at all.
But do you think genetics is the last thing?
I would say genetics is the very first
I would
thing.
say it is absolutely
Number
the first thing.
one thing in a Wagyu animal is genetics.
yes,
They're-
exactly.
Yes.
That's what starts the whole
Yes,
process.
they need to be happy. They need to be free range, roaming, beautiful animals. Yes,
Absolutely.
They need to play and jump around in the grass. No,
But you can't, like I said, you think if you take an Angus cow and you sent it to Japan and they raise it the same way that they raise A5 Wagyu or a
think it
Wagyu
would
cow,
come out- it
you
would
think
look
would
like
look?
Wagyu?
You think it'd be A5?
no.
I don't think so.
No.
So we should. Man, somebody should do that. I'm sure somebody has tried that. Huh? They were like, oh, let's just see if it's the way we do it, but it's not. And then they got into telling me about how ground beef, how that's basically the same. Like, yeah, steaks, it matters for steaks, but really with ground beef it doesn't matter. I could literally serve you Icelandic horse and you wouldn't know the difference between that and Wagyu.
Did you just say Icelandic horse?
Yeah, so do you think, Chef Tyler, that you could be fed Icelandic horse and a Icelandic horse burger and a Wagyu burger and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference? I'm like, okay, that's
this-
a little far.
Is this a rhetorical question?
That's a little bit far.
Fucking for real?
I know,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Why don't you just feed me some rattlesnake ossobuco too?
it?
How about that?
Just grind it all up, man. So, hey,
It's the same muscle structure. It's
yeah,
a tail.
I don't know. I think this. I mean, this person raises beef, but I think there's a lot of
This person is not wrong.
in
With what they're
some
saying.
of the stuff.
Some of the
yes.
things that's just
Absolutely.
absolutely not wrong. But
Yes.
I would totally wholeheartedly disagree with the genetics being yes and genetics matter.
Yeah.
Yes, the genetics matter the most.
Yeah. They absolutely.
The
do.
most.
They absolutely.
Really?
do. Yeah.
Just look at the magazine from the American Wagyu Association and the bar our auction that
Why-
we went to.
Yeah. Why are these genetics getting sold at such a high price? Why is like a Wagyu heifer being sold for a lot of money? Because it's got great genetics.
that first bowl sold for $90,000.
Yeah.
That was mind blowing.
Yeah, man.
But it's all based on genetics.
Yes, you want the genetics.
And I'm gonna pull that. I still have that pamphlet that they
Yeah.
gave us. I can't even understand some of the shit in there. I don't know
Oh,
what that,
no.
but like, it has all the lineage of the sires and all the long bloodline of like Shugashugatani. All
Yeah.
that shit is in that, and it tells the way these animals are ribbed. It tells you their birth weight, their growth rate, their like everything down to the decimal
For real.
of the genetics of that animal
Yeah.
and the lineage of where it came from.
And
It's bonkers, dude.
dude, if the genetics mattered last, I don't think Bar R would have much of a
Let's ask-
business.
Let's ask Arlie how she feels.
We'll
about
ask
that
Arlie
comment.
about that comment. I'm sure she'll listen and she'll comment.
Let's call Dr. Jerry Reeves right now
I'll reach
and,
out and be like,
ask.
do
Dr.
genetics matter, or could I just take any cow and treat it really well and give it massages and cakes and have
Yeah.
it turn out to be A5?
Right.
But like if the genetics, I mean, like I don't know. I think it's. I don't know. It's insane. I don't need to keep going on that. We know that person's slightly crazy. Just trying to make a point. But again, it's all about like Wagyu and like thinking it's a scam. Like I know people that raise Wagyu, and so I know all this stuff, and it's bullshit. Whatever. It's not.
Maybe we should reach out to them and have their friends crossbreed one of the Wagyu that she says
Yeah.
with a buffalo.
And let's see what happens. Some beautiful bison meat. Well, hey, we're going to sign it off, but you got to stick around because we did a really amazing interview with Adam from Plum Creek.
Dude,
Dude, and
watch
he's-
this thing.
Dude, he's sitting in his feed lot, and he's actually with like 20 Wagyu cattle.
Yeah, they
just
were
chilling.
They were like licking the camera.
Oh, dude, just chilling.
Dude,
And he's actually sitting in there in a lawn chair. He's got his cat and everything, jumping up and down. He said it was really cool to show how docile these animals are, and that's what we really wanted to show. That's what we really wanted to get out of this whole interview, was that he can sit there and they're just so calm, and like it's because of how they've been raised, and it's how they eat. Like he says, he feeds them at like 3:00 in the afternoon,
They
and
just kind of
and they kind of pick at it and
whenever they want.
Eat,
They just kind of like graze.
And I was like, dude, they're kind of like cats, and like Angus are like dogs. Like, let me go get that food. Bah, 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 bah.
Yeah.
And these ones are like, let me get that food when I'm hungry, and and it was cool because they weren't like knocking him over. They were just chilling with him. And so
watch the video.
It's a very low stress animal, so we're really excited to get that going. And yeah, so stick around for that because he's got some great stuff. He does great stuff over there, man, in Nebraska. So
nice.
Yeah. So stick around. Adam's our dude. Let us know what you think. Join the Meat Fam, please, on Facebook if you want to join the conversation. Like and share us. Make sure you have conversations with all your friends about Wagyu, and let's keep spreading the good word.
That's right, baby.
All right, welcome back to the Meat Dudes. I'm Evan.
I'm Tyler.
And we are here with Adam Wackel of Plum Creek Wagyu out in Nebraska. How you doing, Adam?
I'm good. How you guys doing today?
Doing all right, pal.
So good, man. And if you can't see, Adam is sitting out with all his Wagyu cattle right now. And the purpose of today, we're going to talk about how docile these animals are and how they live a stress-free life, what they're being fed, and all of that, how that comes into the flavor of Wagyu, especially an amazing Plum Creek Wagyu. So, Adam, we've talked before, man. How are you doing, dude? This is great.
Doing good. We had about an inch of rain yesterday, so it's a little moist out here. It's pretty muddy, but I'm sitting in the in my finishing pen. There's about 80 steers in this pen. All of them are 1,000 pounds, up to 1,600 pounds. We're doing good though. Everything's going good here. We finally got some rain, so I'm happy.
Well, so looking at you, these animals seem pretty calm, man. They're just kind of hanging out. What's that like sitting around 80,000-pound animals?
Oh, it's good. They're like children. They're kind of bored at their daily life. They just eat and sleep. So whenever you interact with them, it's fun. It's like interacting with, kindergartners kind of. They're always curious. They want to see what's going on. They want to taste. They want to smell. They want to lick. That's just kind of what they do. They're very inquisitive. So yeah, it's great.
Dude, what's cool. And one thing that we chat about kind of a lot is the quality, the meat quality of the Wagyu animal. Of course, we all love Wagyu here. To talk about how docile these Wagyu cows are and how that really kind of affects the meat quality.
Yeah, so a mentor of mine who used to talk to Mr. Takeda a lot when he was alive brought this to my attention a while back that there's secrets to finishing cattle. There's your feed, there's your genetics, and then there's also your environment. But then there's a fourth key to it, and a lot of people miss this, and that is not having them afraid of people. And so the more time you spend with them, the less they're afraid of people. And that leads to anytime you have to handle them, they don't get so amped up. They don't run adrenaline through their system. All the way to the day of harvest, these guys are pretty much on easy street. They don't have any stress. They don't fight. They have everything they need all the time. So I believe that's one of the key pieces to making better quality beef.
Absolutely.
Stress-free. So, what does stress or lack thereof play in the final product of the plate?
Yeah, so from my understanding, they will get better daily gains when in a low stress environment, when you try to keep it as clean as you can. I don't know if you can see it, but behind me there's a barn. So these guys can go in and out of a shade barn all day long if they want to. There's a big 12-foot fan on the ceiling so they can stay nice and cool. And what I learned a couple years ago when I was running them through a scale once a month is in the hot months here in Nebraska, they wouldn't gain any weight or they'd even lose weight, for 90 days. So essentially you're feeding them, $5 a day worth of feed and you're getting nothing out of it. So once I built this facility, they started gaining weight all summer. And so, they're happier when they're eating good and they're feeling good and they're gaining like they're supposed to. So all those things are all factors that play into how well they finish.
So let's talk about finishing. What do you use to finish the cows?
So I got with Dr. Jimmy Horner with Protocol Nutritions, and he has a formulated a ration for me that it's highly, I think it's probably 60-70% corn. And then here in this feeder to my left would be your right, there's wheat straw. So they get unlimited corn, unlimited wheat straw all day long. Um, the feed ration is blended with a complete mineral pack and vitamin pack in it. So on the finishing ration, we pull out most of the vitamin A, which helps enhance the marbling. But these guys are on free choice feed 24/7. So they eat as much or as little as they want to for the day. And there's never a lack of feed because we have automatic feeders that are always full. And so they come and eat whatever they want, as often as they want, however much they want. And that typically leads to 2.25 pounds a day of weight gain.
Okay. Yeah. So, you know, I think that's the difference. That open feed and that's how docile these animals are plays a big role versus that commercial cattle, right?
Yeah.
Like if you did the same thing with commercial cattle, it'd be a little bit. You wouldn't be sitting there, right? Like it'd be a little bit more hectic.
No. It'd be a lot more hectic. You go to a big feed lot and they're in pens that are, I don't know, got a whole lot more crowded than this. And they're not handled, they're not around people very much. They see the feed truck and they eat, they get doctored, whatever, that's about it. But there's no personal relationship with the animals. Like I'm in touch with all these animals. Like they have personalities. Some of them, I got one, hopefully he shows up. He's got like a massive underbite. It's hilarious. He looks like a mouthy teenager. Um, and I got some other goofs. They'll just come up to you randomly and start licking you or scratching on you. So it's you develop that relationship with them as you're raising them because you're around them so long. You're from the time they get weaned, and they're 6 months old. I'm around them for 2 years. Every day I see them, so they get to know me pretty good, and that's something you don't get on a commercial scale.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big thing, man. So, talking about commercial versus Wagyu, I think corn-fed kind of gets a bad rap. And I'll say even us, in the beginning, we were like, oh man, like corn-fed, ooh, you hear all these stories and you're like, oh, that's
Right.
terrible for the cow.
Yep.
But what I'm really understanding is it's not that where you source your corn, it makes a big deal, obviously, but also
Oh, yeah.
how they're being fed and in the style of how they're being fed. So they're all out here right now in an open feeding pen and they can eat whenever they want. And they seem
Correct.
to be just pretty chill about it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They don't fight. Like
Yeah.
a lot of them aren't even dehorned because they won't really hurt each other. They wouldn't. They surely wouldn't hurt me. So they have no competition for food. So they can just go eat whenever they feel like it. And if I could turn the camera 180, you can't see it from here, but there's a cornfield about 100 yards north of me. So we're really
Mhm.
fortunate here in Nebraska that all the feed is raised right here. It's local as local gets, and at the lowest cost we can get it. So, that's one really big advantage. We don't feed any byproducts. So what's in my recipe sheet is corn, wheat mids, soybean hulls, a little molasses, the vitamin pack. That's it. I mean, it's strictly high quality, no byproduct, no crap. It's all good stuff. And so, yeah, that corn gives it a wonderful flavor. It really changes and enhances the flavor of the beef. If you're feeding byproducts, it's probably going to taste like that byproduct. So,
Absolutely.
um, I
Yeah.
learned.
And I believe that
Oh, go ahead.
mentally, your carbon footprint is so much more less because that corn is right across the street from all your cattle, right? You're
Oh,
not
yeah.
bringing it in
No, we
35
haul it at
miles
all.
away.
Nope, nope.
Yeah.
It's right
That's
there.
amazing.
And all the manure in this pen gets heaped up and it gets put out on the cornfields. So, we recycle it all. Nothing goes to waste here at all.
That's
Dang,
great.
They
dude.
eat it. Yep. Hi, buddy.
That's a big deal, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like, it's we do as much regenerative stuff as we can, as good for the environment as we can. Um, when you're in a big complex, a big feed yard, I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's not the approach that is really good for Wagyu. If you're doing, there are some feed facilities that have them in larger scale that do it correctly, but it's not it's not the same as a commercial feedlot you'll see with 30,000 head of commercial cattle. These animals don't do well in that environment. They won't turn out nearly as well. They'll be stressed out all the time, and that'll lead to lower marble scores not as good as steaks when it's all said and done.
And do you think that's because they've just been raised that way for so long that it's just instinctual that they're just docile, or is it because they're never fighting for food and they have space? Like, why do you think they're just so docile?
Well, it's interesting. When I first started and got cattle, 7, 8 years ago, we had some commercial cattle at first, and I'll tell you what, when you wean those calves, you better put your pads on like a linebacker because it gets real. Like they will run you over. And when I wean my Wagyu cattle, you come up behind these calves when you bring them off pasture, and you have to like walk behind them and tap them on the rear and be like, "Okay, come on, guys, let's roll." You need to start walking here because they're just so chill. So the breed itself, if you treat them correctly, they come out of the womb pretty chill all the time. They don't get upset. They don't, when you're tagging babies, when you're tagging calves, so when the mom has a calf, we like to go out and tag them, put an ear tag in so we know who they are, write it down on a birth date. When you're out with commercial cattle, there's a lot of them you don't tag because you can't get near them because the mother will kill you. I have never had, we've probably calved out 400 or 500 Wagyu, and I've never had one charge me yet. They are just laid back. They'll come sniff you like these guys are doing, and what are you doing? Making sure everything's okay. All right, cool. I'll leave you be. That's just the way they
You sure
are.
you're not feeding these guys? You sure you're not feeding these guys weed or something?
No, you would think because they kind of act like that, but no, that would be too expensive. I save that for other purposes.
Oh, dude, for
Yeah.
real. So have you? I mean, do you raise full blood F1 cross? What do you raise out there?
Yeah, so all these, with the exception of like 2 or 3, are full bloods. I've only got a few F1s in here, and those are just some of my recips that slipped to embryo, and so they end up getting bred by the bull. But mainly they're all full bloods. So I like 95% of them, 99% of them probably full bloods.
So is there a difference in personality? Have you seen that between maybe a full blood and an F1 cross?
Maybe a little bit. The crosses seem to be a little bit more rangy, a little bit more not so quite so laid back and friendly. But again, like that one that was just sniffing me, that's a F1. That yellow tag, she's pretty friendly. If you handle them correctly and you treat them correctly, and you don't, it's just about safe handling techniques. Our cattle chute that we run them through for vaccines and weights and measures. It's an air equipped system. It's very nice. It's quiet. Doesn't make a lot of noise. We just run them through nice and chill. My daughters and I call it Wagyu time because when you go to move them or you go to load them on a trailer, you open the gate, you give them one area to go to. They can only go one way. And you just kind of got to sit and wait until they decide to go. It's kind of like, all right, come on, guys. Like, let's get moving here. But I just call it Wagyu time. You just let them go at their own pace.
That's like island time.
Yeah,
pretty much. It's kind of the same concept. They're going to move when they want to move because they're ready to move.
That's funny.
If you don't, I don't force the issue because I'm never in that big a hurry. So
yeah. Then so you hear in Japan, right, that like it's all about keeping these animals calm and low stress because that at the end of the day it brings out the better meat quality. So the calmer this animal can be, the most low stress this animal can be, the better my product will be at the end of the day, right?
For sure.
Yeah. So for you out there, what are some things that you do to keep these animals calm, or do you have to do anything extra? Are they just going to be chill all the time?
Well, what I do is one thing that also I'm assuming probably gets overlooked in some places is just a clean water supply is a big thing. So we go out, we make sure our waters are clean every couple days, make sure they don't get dirty. We sterilize them. We try to keep the pens as clean as we can, which don't look at them today. It just rained an inch, but mainly the clean working environments and then spending time with them. If you're out here walking through the pens, you want them to come and greet you. They will let you know when something's wrong too. They'll come and find you. We had a cow yesterday that couldn't find her calf, and she would not leave me alone. She's like, "You need to help me find my baby." And we finally found her, got them back together, and so they do communicate with you. They will let you know when there's a problem, and it's amazing because, like if one of these guys gets sick, and we pull them in the trailer and take them over to the chute to work them, they're not like a fan of being moved, but once they get there, they're like, "Oh yeah, he's going to help me," and they will literally just stop and just go wherever you want them to go most of the time.
Wow.
Not always, but a lot of times they will. It's like they understand. They know I'm the one taking care of them. They know I'm the one bringing them the food. They just know. And so that's something that you can't really do that on a large scale. A large scale, you'd never be able to do what we do with our little herd here.
And
Which
how big
way?
is your herd?
Right now it's about, I got 270 animals here. I think we got 120 of them on feed. We got about 100 cows, and then lots of calves and a couple bulls.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, definitely not small. Definitely not
No, it's not
small.
small, but it's not.
But it's not commercial.
Now here in cattle country, I
Yeah.
mean, there's places that have 5,000 head, of
Yeah.
cows. There's a 15,000 head feedlot a couple miles down the road. That's a whole nother level of volume there.
That's a lot of moving parts right there.
That's a lot. Yeah, I think I estimated that
Yeah.
one place would use 500 hay bales a day. So that's pretty impressive. Yeah, that's a lot.
So, man, so let me ask you a question about like the future, of Wagyu, because it seems we talked to a lot of people, and you have 270, 300 cattle. A lot of people we talk to are in that range, around under 1,000. Some of
Yep.
them have a couple thousand.
Yep.
Will there be a point where people can really mass produce and keep this same quality and keep them docile and not turn it into the commercial feed pen pits that we always kind of hear about? I mean, is there a way to do that? Are people doing that now?
I think there are some people that are trying to do that here. I think there's some guys putting the money in to put in the facilities so that you can raise them in those kind of numbers. And yeah, it can be done. It just takes the proper management and a lot of manpower. But it definitely
Yeah.
can be done, but it is not your traditional way of raising them. So anybody that tries to raise them in a traditional feedlot like they have down the road, I don't think you'd be very happy with your results. If you're trying to achieve really good, like I'm trying to do full blood. If you're trying to do F1, I'm not saying there's
Hmm.
anything wrong with that. That is more of a commercial beef, and I don't know. I think that would be easier to scale up than the full blood operations, but you absolutely can.
Sure.
I mean, there's people in other countries that have scaled up massive full blood operations and done a very good job and been very successful doing so.
Yeah. That's because that's kind of the trick here is what we're talking about is how do we keep it, how do we keep the quality of Wagyu amazing while still expanding it so we can feed more people and feed them at the quality that we all appreciate. It seems tough, but I mean, looking at these animals here, I'm wondering if you threw one of those full bloods into, like a commercial feedlot, how do you think it would act?
Scared.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't know. I don't think they would do well, in my opinion. I mean, when we look at, like, there's been some studies, like Dr. Horner did a study of like the effect of a snowstorm that had on some animals years ago, and I'm paraphrasing here, so forgive me if Dr. Horner sees this and I didn't say it correctly, but they had a set of animals in Iowa, I believe, that went through a snowstorm and basically delayed harvesting half of the herd, or half the test group, whatever.
I wonder if we lost him here. Nice, dude. We lost you for a second, but I believe that you still recorded it, man. So I think we're okay. Yeah. No, it's all good, man. I mean, you're out in the pit, man. I mean,
Yeah,
Love it.
geez.
I love
Yeah,
it.
this is cool, dude. I hope people can really see this and see how docile these animals are. They're just literally hanging out. And for a meat, for the people buying meat, why should they care if these animals are low stress?
well, I think you're going to notice. I mean, I have no proof of proving this, but to me, you strive to raise them like the Japanese had raised them over there. And the way they raise them over there is they're babied, they're pampered, they're spoiled, and the meat's incredible. And I think the closer you can get to that here, it's just going to lead to a higher quality meat. And that's just the end of the story. So when you buy from a local producer, you buy from a small operation, I think you're getting a level of care that you really, when you see somebody take your meat out of the store, it's like they're trusting you that you didn't pump it full of crap. And they're trusting you to do a good
Hmm.
job because they're going to eat that. And that could make them sick.
Yeah.
That could give them health problems, or it could be the best thing they've ever had. And so, I think people should realize, going to the small operations, not only are you helping out family farms instead of mega corporations, I think that's where the quality is really, that's the pinnacle of quality.
Absolutely. And it's kind of a good segue because we always talk about nutritional value in Wagyu beef. And I will bore you till you don't want to hear me talk about it anymore, because people often think that I'm not telling them the truth, because the omegas, the oleic acid,
Yes.
the the cholesterol level, everything in the fat, it's all really good for you and your body and your
It
system and
is.
your skin and your all that stuff,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Along that note, on the American Wagyu Association, they published an article from the World Wagyu Council talking about the Wagyu fat and eating quality. So I'm going to read a little bit of it because I couldn't put it all together this eloquently. The unique fat composition of Wagyu beef doesn't just impact health, it also enhances the eating experience. Its high levels of oleic acid content make the fat softer, more fluid, contributing to a smoother mouthfeel and more tender meat. That's why it's known to be so rich and juicy and flavorful and tender. The oleic acid really has a huge impact on how your meat turns out. And the types of cholesterol it brings, it lowers the bad and it raises the good. And so, by introducing the Wagyu beef into your diet and replacing commercial beef with Wagyu, there are proven health benefits to it. So it's not just a fat, nasty piece of meat, it's actually flavorful and good for you.
Yes.
It's more similar
Yeah.
to a fish oil.
Hallelujah.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Right. It is. Where did you get that information from? You said American Wagyu Association.
Yeah, the American Wagyu Association posted it, and it was recently published from the World Wagyu Council. So that's an organization that have some published. I'll get you a link to it. I broke.
That'd be
Cool.
great.
Yeah, because we'll put that in the show notes, dude. That'd be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think that's when we're talking about that stuff, man. I mean, it's so important to have those links so people can kind of see exactly what we're talking about, so they don't just think we're BSing, because
Right.
it's it's true. And you see a lot of people that have come that have come from Wagyu going, hey, you know what, actually this is actually really, really good for you, can be really good for you. There's a lot of studies all around the world that people are doing, and
Absolutely.
I don't know, it hasn't picked up mainstream yet.
Right.
But I don't know, I'm kind of hoping it does. It's like I was in the cannabis industry before this, and I always kind of relate it to that, where I remember somebody said, and like right when we started in 2011, right before it got legalized, somebody said, I think you're going to take a CBD pill here, just like you take your vitamin C pill. And I was like, 10, 15 years ago. And I was like, that's crazy, because like back then it was like, oh no, that's terrible for you. It makes you stupid and everything like that.
Right.
But like over the last 10 years, right, people are like, actually, like my parents are taking that shit. My brother's taking that shit, and it's just like,
yeah, it's a really good analogy.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
and I think over time,
I think that's a really good analogy. Yeah, I mean, it's every day you talk to people and they've never even heard of Wagyu, don't know what it is, have never had the experience. So, you try to tell people like, okay, yes, there's a lot more fat in it, and that's kind of by design. That's the way the animals were made, that's what we strive for. But it's actually like healthy for you, and it tastes really good. So, to get people to understand that, I had something happen here a couple months ago, which really surprised me. So I had a lifelong Angus producer that lives a few miles from here. He called me one day. He goes, Adam, he said, you got a couple fats I could buy? I go, well, yeah, what do you want? He's like, I want to try one. I've been reading about it. I think it's great. And he said, I just want to try one. I said, sure, come on over. We'll pick one out. So we picked one out, and he loaded up. He goes, gosh, I hope I don't like this too much. I'll just have to keep buying them. I was like, yeah, good luck, buddy. Because if you like meat, when you guys cut that one up, it's over. It's over. It's done.
Oh,
so
it is, man.
So you get people to take that first step, and in no time it could spread like crazy. So, but you have to get out there and educate people about it. There's so much misconception, and there's crappy PR out there on the internet a lot, and a lot of stuff is just not even close to being true. Like there was one a couple weeks ago about how Wagyu are so unhealthy, and
yeah, we know.
Yeah, the way they're raised is so bad. Yeah, look at that guy. He's pretty much being beat all the time, right? Look at him. So
right?
I mean,
these animals are horrible.
This is kind of to help promote the spread of correct information on how these animals actually behave and how they're actually treated.
Yeah. And I like I like the point you made where commercial beef versus wagyu. You're raising these a lot longer, and so you have that personal connection with them,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
that does make a difference, right? It makes a
Oh,
difference
it
at the end of the day when
absolutely.
it hits your plate.
Oh yeah, because
So
so
yeah,
in a commercial setting, if you were to walk into a feedlot like a giant feedlot, the animals are all going to run away from you. They're not going to be up here doing this. They're not going to be licking you. They're going to run away. They're scared. And so
yeah,
likewise, they get that cortisol, they get that adrenaline, they get all kinds of bad stuff happening. They're running up and down the fence all the time, burning energy. Oh, you're going to get a close up here. Hey,
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 kids,
he's getting
kids,
up on
don't,
that
don't,
tripod.
hey, don't let the tripod. Hey, watch it, Fatty. So yeah, I mean, you go into a commercial environment, they're not gonna be like this. They're gonna be running up and down the fence. They're not. I don't know. Around here, I don't know if you guys do any hunting out there or ever have, but around here, deer hunters, you know, people hunt a lot of deer, and everybody knows if you're out walking and you're chasing deer around, they don't taste very good when you shoot them and eat them. The meat tastes bad because it's got the adrenaline in it, it's got the hormones, they've been chased, they're all amped up. Well, it's the same way with cattle. If they're calm like this, I can tell you, I don't have no proof, but I can tell you they taste better. They just will. That's the way they should be raised.
we're the meat dudes, and we talk about meat a lot. We're very Wagyu driven, but on that same note, the pork that we get from Pure Country,
Uh-huh.
it's raised so nicely that I can put a pork chop in a pan from them next to a pork chop in the pan from the grocery store, and
Uh-huh.
I can immediately smell the difference.
I believe it.
You have that almost farmy,
Yep.
porky,
I know exactly
barnyardy
what you're saying.
aroma going on,
Yep.
and it's the exact
It
same
don't.
thing. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
also funny kind of analogy is I have a purebred uh, pit bull terrier, right? And
Uh-huh.
the stigma behind this animal is big, scary, mean
Yeah.
animal, but she's
Killers.
the sweetest dog you've ever met.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, it's the same as raising children, right? You care
Absolutely.
for your children. They're going to be good people.
hmm
Yeah.
And
For sure.
raise a dog. It's a good dog. It's going to be a good
Yep.
dog. It's going to be a happy dog. I think it goes
Yep.
with all of everything you're saying.
Absolutely. It makes a huge difference. And again, like it's a sad day when you harvest them, but you treat them like this their whole life, and they don't miss a thing. We're out here every single day. You know them, they know you. There's certain ones that you can scratch their head. There's certain ones that just want to keep a little further away. But when they're calm and stress free, that's as close to the Japanese way as I can get them for my setup and my budget. So this is what I do.
yeah.
So we're working on a small farm out here on Vashon Island, and we would call it one bad day. That,
Hmm.
that was that
hmm
was the day.
Yeah,
One bad day. Well, not
exactly.
even a bad day. It was a bad moment, right? The
Yeah,
animals were
yeah.
so well taken care of.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Like
Totally.
when I take them up, when we take them up to get harvested, it's not a scary day. It's not a sad day. They walk off the trailer, they walk in, and it's instantaneous, and everything's fine. They don't get all amped up. They're not trying to jump out of the trailer. They're not trying to crawl up the walls. They're just like, all right, Adam's here. It's cool. What are we doing today?
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. That makes a
So
huge difference on the plate at the end of the day. That's
It
the biggest
does.
absolutely,
thing,
it does. It does
right?
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping when people see this, we've all seen the Food Inc. and all those movies and things like that, where the
Right.
cattle is just being, just
Yeesh.
thrown through the
Yeesh.
feedlot and everything, and it looks comfortable, and it's hopefully people can see this, and a little bit of the stigma can be changed by just knowing that, hey, things are raised well, and they're raised differently, and it's not your normal beef, run of the mill kind of show.
Correct.
So it's
Correct.
a lot different, and
Yeah.
and it's
And
it's cool to see that, man. And like I said, at the end of the day, the most important thing is what comes out, that product at the end of the day, and
right.
and that product, it shows that it
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
have high cortisol levels,
Yep.
and I think that's a big thing, man.
It is. It's a
Look at
big
those
deal.
guys.
And then Yeah, that makes a huge difference, I think, on how it turns out. So, and
Let
I
me
think
ask you.
for the
Go
most
ahead,
part,
man.
most of the Wagyu operations in the States probably operate fairly similar to this, I would assume. I mean, there are some that are big and commercialized, but most of them are pretty small scale. So I would say a lot of people have a similar, low stress environment for their fats.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Everybody we talk to is right around the same thing, man. It's very low stress, very docile. They care about it. They're very passionate about it. That guy's coming out in
Yeah,
front. That's
yeah,
so
big guy.
funny, man. I love it, dude. Hey, let me ask you a question here.
Sure.
What's one thing the average person thinks matters in beef quality that really doesn't? Do you have a good answer for that?
One thing that kills me is
Mm-hmm.
is grass fed. There's a big stigma out there that the only beef that tastes good is grass fed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we get asked that every farmer's market we go to, every show we do. Like, was this grass fed, grass finished? I'm like, no, this is not. That is not. I mean, hats off to people that do it, and that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if you're looking to get the really good flavor, you're not going to finish it on grass, I doubt, and have it turn out like these do. It's not going to have the same effect. So that's one thing that I would say is a real common misconception, that it has to be grass fed to taste good and be healthy. Guys, you're gonna screw up my
Absolutely, man.
camera. Quit,
You know,
look,
let's
quit
get
looking at
this
the
the
camera.
hell out of here, man.
Yeah,
Hey, we just talked to Andrew Shirley of River Valley Wagyu, and he's
oh,
grass fed, grass finished,
yep,
and I really liked his take, man. I really liked his
sure,
take because he's like, I eat both, man. He's like I'm trying to create something that's maybe for a different day of the week. Like, hey, if
absolutely,
you want to have an amazing, full blood that looks almost like A5,
yep,
that's great. That's going to taste great. Mine's maybe a little bit different. He
correct.
still gets great marbling. It's
Yeah,
still great beef, man. We had some, and I was
absolutely.
like, this is fucking good, dude.
Oh yeah,
But it's a little bit different, right?
it
It's a little
is.
bit
It is
different.
different, and
And I
I
thought
would
it
love
was
to.
cool, though. I thought it was
Uh,
cool. His
yeah,
take was really
it's
nice on it.
it's kind of like, is there the right answer? Do you have to have the Japanese A5? Is F1 okay? Is full blood pure? It's all a matter of your taste. A lot of people are like, nope, I want the
Yes.
beefy flavor. I want the choice. That's what I like. Cool. That's your deal. No
Right?
problem.
Yeah.
But I don't like that people, a lot of times people think that, animals that are fed on corn get mistreated. Or I've had people say, well, do you pump them full of corn and antibiotics, right? I'm like, antibiotics? They're like, yeah, I thought you pump them so full of corn and antibiotics that way they gain more. I'm like, bro, you'd go broke if you gave them antibiotics every day. That shit's expensive, for one. And no,
Yeah.
it wouldn't make them eat more. It would just be stupid. So, some of those things you get asked, you're like, what planet are you? Have you ever been on a farm? Because no, none of these guys, with the exception of maybe one or two of them, have had antibiotics in their life. That's if they get an infection or if they get cut and they need that's the only time they ever get it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, man. I like that because you're right. There is that grass fed stigma out there that's the only
yep,
beef you should eat,
yep,
and then corn fed is like, oh, they just pump them full of corn, right? Like
yeah,
we hear that. We're still hearing
uh,
that, and
yeah,
like I said in the beginning, we believe that in the beginning, and now we're
uh
like,
huh,
wait a second, it does. It's just like anything, right? It matters where your shit comes from, and you're getting corn from
for
across the
sure.
street
Yep,
locally, right
yep,
there in your
yep.
feet. You're not force feeding them. Look at
Nope,
these cows. He's obviously
nope.
not force feeding these fucking cows.
No, they ain't
Like
forced to nothing, man. It's a freaking
yeah,
resort here,
man.
man. They're on freaking. This is like a
Oh,
palace.
God.
It is. It's like the
I
fat
love
resort,
it.
They just freaking love it here.
Yeah,
They don't mind it
yeah,
one
dude.
single bit. So they
It's
And
munch
funny
away and
that
hi, buddy. What's up, bro?
I've been cooking for 30 something years. And
Yeah,
back in my early days and learning foie gras, it's kind of that same misconception of like, oh yeah, the French used to bury the geese in the ground from the neck down and force feed them until their liver exploded. Like,
yeah. I had
what?
somebody ask me
No,
one
that's not
time
what happened.
if we finished them by suspending them so their feet can't touch the ground so they don't burn any calories. I go, what the fuck?
Jesus.
I go, what? This sounds like some kind of medieval torture shit, man. What are you talking about? Like, well, I heard they hang them
like
from ropes. I'm like, oh my god. Well, you need to come out
Okay,
here.
ain't nobody got time for that.
This is kind of why I had the idea of doing this format, because I was like, people need to understand, like, these animals got it made. They got it. I mean, they're spoiled, and that's what we do.
Man, yeah. And so like, so the finishing process, man, for you, they're all out and they're open. They can eat whenever they want. They're just going out there. They're chilling. They're having some bites. They're walking around. They're just stress free, right? So that's totally different than what you see on Food Inc. And that, you know, that does happen in some commercial facilities, you know, not every place, but like, they do get force fed. There's some good places out there. We're not shitting on all other beef or anything,
but
that does happen.
Not at all. Absolutely. I mean, casting any stones against anyone. I'm trying to mimic the way Takeda raised them in Japan. I'm trying to get in my world as close as I can to the most low stress environment for them, so that we have the best chance of getting the highest quality beef. And I think it shows up in the flavor. I think it really matters.
Yeah.
You know,
we talk about your mentor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Who was your mentor for this?
Oh, so I spent a lot of time with Cole Morris and Wagyu Revolution, and then he learned a lot from Mr. Takeda. So Mr. Takeda passed away a couple years ago, and Cole actually had him at his house a few times, and it's very, very interesting. He's kind of one of the legends of who brought over a lot of the animals to the United States. And you know, his philosophy was, I want Wagyu propagated all over the world. When he was allowed to bring them to the United States, he said, I want these things to take over the entire cattle industry, because they are amazing animals. They produce wonderful beef. They're docile. Everything about them is great. And that was his wish. You know, he wanted them everywhere. And so I think following his footsteps and trying to learn what he learned after 50 years of raising them, you know, you try to be like him in the ways and techniques and the way he breeds them and everything else.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What's your version of the story of how the cattle got over here? I'm going to ask everybody that from now on. I like that.
Yeah, that's good. So a lot of them flew over here on 747s. So, and then a lot of genetics were brought over here frozen. So we actually, so I think, you know, out of the 230 animals, I'm pretty sure they all came here for the most part, from my understanding, on an airplane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, some of the frozen genetics. What's that?
So when was that?
That was in the 90s, mostly in the 90s. So they brought over a couple in the early 70s, but then the rest of them came over in the early to mid 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then, there hasn't been anything allowed to leave the country. So, but like, for example, if you talk about genetics just a little bit, we have 2 calves that were born last fall that were original import embryos that were brought over in 1995. So we put them in a cow last year, had calves last fall. So I have 2 original import cattle on the property, 1 male, 1 female, that, and the pedigree, it says import. So pretty cool stuff that some of those original import genetics are still out there and haven't even been used yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's cool.
Wow, man.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And yeah, Adam, we've had your beef. You shipped us over some of your beef, and man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, it was awesome, man.
You bet.
So it was so good. That was that shabu shabu you had.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
That's good stuff.
Dude.
Yeah, that stuff's amazing.
Did we ask you that? Yeah, how did you cut? Where did you cut that off from? Like the brisket, or where did you cut that off from?
Well, it came off the meaty. It's like a meaty section on the ribs.
Yeah,
it comes off the rib cage. Yep.
Dude.
Yeah, we saved the brisket, man. You save the brisket for smoking briskets, buddy. They don't. It's the only thing they're for. It's the only thing they're for.
You smoked. Hey, last time we talked, right? You smoked that A5 brisket, right? That was you, right?
I did.
You're a wild man.
You're fucking crazy, man. I love it, dude. That's so funny. Oh my god.
I want to do that.
I know. We need to. Yeah, we got to try that at least once, man.
I want to do
it. Dude.
Adam, have you ever taken a whole flat iron and not taken it apart with the sinew in the middle and cooked it like a brisket?
That sounds like a great idea, though.
You should try it. So when it finally gets to that almost brisket wiggly texture, that middle sinew that you think is just undestroyable, it melts into like pure gelatin, and like
Really?
it's got this gooey center. It's freaking
Nice.
unreal, dude. It's unreal.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. You know,
It's really good.
one thing I did try recently was we made up some Thor's hammers. You know, instead of cutting them into ossobuco, we left the bone in the shank. You know, and I was like, man, this thing is going to be so full of tendons. It's going to be so tough. There's no way this is going to taste good. So we stuck it on the smoker, wrapped it around in foil, and then once that marrow started cooking, we would inject that marrow juice into it. It just fell apart. It was amazing. I was like, oh, now we're talking. So and we smoked some dino ribs. Last weekend I smoked some dino ribs, and I couldn't get them off the grill picking up by the bones, so I knew they were going to be good because the bones just fell out of them. But they were amazing. They were pretty darn good too.
Oh my god,
love that.
Yeah, we love that. What's your favorite cut out there? Or favorite thing to cook?
You know, it's got to be a tomahawk because it's a tomahawk.
Yeah.
You know, you get the bone in, and it's man, they're unreal. And I cheat. I'm lazy. I cook them in a sous vide, and then I sear them on the grill. I know.
Hey man, however you do it.
Well, what happens around here is I'm running, you know, like a rat on cocaine, and so I can throw them in the sous vide, just forget about them for a few hours, and then when it's time to eat, I can pull them off and sear them, and they're done to perfection. So that's my lazy way of doing it. It works good. You can't screw it up.
Yeah,
I do the same thing done, man. Smoker. I slow smoke them at like 215, 220.
Right. That way you just can't screw it up. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like 3.5 pound tomahawks, and then I let them rest for about an hour. Reverse sear that shit.
Yep. Oh yeah, dude.
Exactly.
It's insane, and that could feed the whole family. You know, one of those would feed the whole family. It's awesome though. Yeah. They're so good. They're so good. We got a restaurant up in Omaha that's been picking up a few here and there, and they said they're just a huge hit on the menu. So.
Yeah. Hey, how does everybody find you, Adam?
So on our website is plumcreekwagyu.com, plumcreekwagyu.beef.com, I believe it is. That's the easiest way to find us. You can find us on all the social media channels. Yeah, you can get on our website, order. We can ship it straight to your door. You can come pick it up if you're local. We'll deliver if you're real local. That's where you can find it.
Nice.
Yeah. And so you do a lot of distribution yourself?
Yeah, we do it all myself. I've got a semi. So I pick up all my carcasses from the packers, and then we deliver, you know, we just shipped a half to Las Vegas and a half to California last week. We got another half going to Las Vegas in a couple weeks. So yeah, we do all that out of my farm building that's behind the camera.
Okay. Nice, dude. What's this guy doing right here in front of you?
I don't know. It's like photobombing, I guess. What are you doing, bud?
Dude, you know, a lot of people say Wagyu cattle aren't that big. Those things, 1,000 pounds?
Oh, this one right in front of this 135 that's right in front of the camera, he's 1,500 pounds.
Yeah, I was gonna say that looks pretty big.
Oh, he's big. Yeah, I could lay on his back and take a nap. Yeah, they're typical weight they go in at 30 months is about 1,500 pounds. So that's pretty standard. Yeah, they get freaking enormous. They get really big. You know, I mean, these guys they're eating 20 pounds of corn a day. They eat a lot.
Yeah.
Hey.
Is that just and that's just the Japanese black right there? Full blood?
Yep, that's a full blood black right there. Yep, living his best life. Photobombing the whole interview.
Dude, that's funny, man.
Yeah.
That's huge right there, man.
No shit's given, man. They just don't care.
Yeah, dude. And that's awesome to see, you know, just how calm they are. And, you know, when you first told, I think on our first time we talked, you were saying that they just have an automatic feeder and they just go out there and they don't got to worry about anything. It's like a cat, you know, you know, like commercial feeding's like a dog. You got to watch it. You can only feed it a certain amount here and here and here. But a cat, you just put the fucking food out and they just go out and have a good time.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, like in a commercial setting, if you give commercial cattle, from my understanding, if you give commercial cattle like an automatic feeder, like we give them here, they just eat until they exploded. You know, Wagyu are different. Wagyu are very different. They don't overeat like that. So, fun fact, on my cows, I feed them out of a TMR mixture. So I have like a 300-foot bunk line of concrete bunks. So I drive along and I mix the corn and I mix corn silage and hay and I feed the cows every day. When you have a pen full of Angus, if I feed cows at 3 o'clock, if you go out there at 6 o'clock, that bunk is clean. There isn't a drop of hay in there, nothing. I mean, it's spotless. It's slick. If you feed the Wagyu, it's amazing. You'll go out there and feed them, and they'll all come up and eat for a couple hours, and then they'll go lay down. Then you go out there about 9 o'clock, they're all lined up eating again. Throughout the night, they'll get up and eat, then they'll go lay down. And when you come out with the feed truck the next day at 3 o'clock, they'll just be up there finishing the last of their feed because they stretch it out. They'll eat a little bit and go lay down, eat a little bit and go lay down. So it's pretty interesting.
Like athletes.
Yep, they act completely different.
Just graze all day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They just go get little, and that's what these guys do in the fat pen. You know, they'll go eat some corn. They'll come out and take a nap. They'll get up, eat some straw, take a nap. So most of the time when you come out here, if I wasn't out here bugging them, 90% of them be laying down sleeping, living the dream.
Yeah. And they want to see what's going on, though, man.
Huh?
They want to check it out.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yep.
That's funny, dude. Well, shoot, man. Thanks for sitting here and showing us how calm these things are. This is awesome, man. This is great.
Yeah,
I'm super
I appreciate
excited,
you guys
dude.
making time for it and love the content, and hopefully this can help clear up some of the misconceptions about raising cattle.
Yeah.
Just did.
Yeah, man. I mean,
think it's
we
a
can
step
see
in
it
the
right
right
here,
direction.
dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, more content like this instead of when people see stuff like this. Hopefully, they'll open their eyes a little bit instead of just always referring back to the Food Inc. and all that stuff about how awful everything's raised. And like I said, there's truth to that, but like I think Wagyu is changing the game a little bit, and people need to understand that.
Yeah, I agree. It's not the same, or it's not always the same as everything else. It tends to be quite a bit different than the commercial beef.
Yeah,
right, bud?
absolutely.
What do you think? It's not the same, is it, bro?
Man,
What do you think,
funny
buddy?
that this thing is just look at the camera. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. All right, buddy. Nobody really wants to look at you that close.
Well, sweet, dude. I mean, we'll wrap it up here. But is there anything else you want people to know about Wagyu beef before we head out?
Support your local ranchers, support your local farm to table initiatives, and you're helping people put food on their plates by buying from them. So the more we can keep it away from the big packers, the better off we are.
Absolutely, man. So go to Plum Creek Wagyu and order yourself a meat box.
There you go.
Because that meat's good, man. Yeah, we enjoyed that meat thoroughly, brother.
That's right. We'll ship it right to your doorstep.
Yes, I love it. Well, again, Adam, thank you so much, man. Thanks for showing us
guys.
all this.
Appreciate it.
And we'll chat with you soon, bro.
All right, take care, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. See ya.
All right, later.
Yep.